And it feels like we've seen a lot of upsets like this over the past few weeks. And I mean, this one was very egregious, but I feel like none was more egregious than Penn State at UCLA. Now, UCLA was 0-4. They've been the worst team in the Big Ten. They've been terrible in terms of FBS. They've been bad. They even got blown out by teams like New Mexico and Utah. They lost to UNLV, to Northwestern. Like, UCLA is not great. The coach is fired. Offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, everybody's fired. Team's doing really poorly. Then they're hosting a Penn State team that's reeling from losing to Oregon, and they somehow find a way to win. They're up by 20 at halftime. UCLA. I didn't think they had this in them. UCLA, I was unfamiliar with your game. I didn't think that they could play like this. And against a team like Penn State, I'm still very shocked. And I don't know how this happened. Feels like one of the biggest upsets I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. And the only one that I can think back to that was this impressive was Appalachian State going on the road at Michigan and winning that one, if you remember that. But Penn State, like we've been saying for years, like if it doesn't happen now when they beat a top team, when will it? But they've always been okay against bottom feeders. That's the teams that they beat. But now they're even losing to bottom 10 teams in UCLA. I don't know how this happened. This really came out of nowhere. And Penn State, we thought they were really good. They're not. I never bought that they were number 2 in the country. That was silly. But they don't lose to teams like this. They lose to the top teams. This isn't what they do. So it was very interesting, Jack, and very impressive from UCLA. But Penn State, what do you say, Jack?
I mean, what can you say? This is just still shocking. Um, I still can't believe it. I mean, when you look at it, you think it's wrong. Like you think it's the other way around. Like maybe you're looking at it wrong. Maybe you've had too much to drink or something. But like, no, that's the actual score. You go to
Right.
multiple sites, and that's real. That's one of those games, and we really, like you said, we really
Right.
don't see anything like this. I mean, last time an 0-4 or worse team beat a top 10 opponent was in 1985 when 0-6 UTEP beat number 7 BYU. So it's been more than 40 years since it's happened, or been 40 years exactly since it happened. Um, but this is just so shocking. I mean, UCLA, they are bad. They are bad. They're not like a mediocre team. They are not good. I mean, they were the first team to fire their coach this year, and they had like one of the best offenses this week. And Imaliava, like one of the players we've talked about this year, like really not living up to that 5 star because he transferred out of Tennessee. But he really came into his own and looked like one of the best quarterbacks this week, which is just, I think, the most shocking moment of this week. But about Penn State,
Right.
I don't think there's a way they really come back into the college football playoff fold. I really don't think there's a place for them. I really think this is over. And like you said, these are the games they're supposed to win. Like and the like we know they don't win big games against good teams with Franklin, but these are the teams that they should have
Right.
locked down, and they somehow don't. I mean, like I guess that just loss against Oregon really broke them, I guess. But
Right.
this was not close to start out, and they were kind of lucky to get. I know if you want to say like they got that onside kick to start out UCLA,
Right.
but Penn State got a block punt, so it really kind of evened out with the special teams. But yeah, I mean, you want to talk about Jerry Neuheisel? I mean, he like just started play calling like a couple days before this game. Didn't even really know how to use his headset. So I mean, this was
Right.
like the most surprising moment I think of the year. Probably, I don't think anything like this happens again in a while. Maybe another 40 years.
Right.
Uh,
Mhm.
but they look like one of the best offenses this week, which is something I don't think you could have ever predicted. But this just says, I know like some people say like, can we get rid of preseason predictions because they're always wrong, but
Right.
this year they're especially wrong. I mean, you when you
I
look at
saw
that
that. Yeah.
preseason top 10, like or even top 4, Clemson is out, Texas is out, and Penn State is out. Like
Right.
completely wrong and not good
Right.
predictions, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, This is just shocking.
right? And I mean, the trade basically for Nico hasn't worked out where you see what Joey Aguilar has been able to do for Tennessee. But this game, he really did, like you said, came into his own. I mean, 17 for 24, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that was just throwing. He was effective in all passages of the game. He ran 16 times, 128 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and they factor in sacks when they do stats for QB runs. So it's just like 128 yards on the ground and 3 scores. He was dominant. Like UCLA, this is what we were not necessarily expecting coming into the year, but we thought Nico was going to play a lot better and was going to elevate this team post the Chip Kelly era. And it hasn't looked good. As we said, they fired a lot of their coaching staff. And then Jimmy Neuheisel comes in, one of his first days coaching. As you said, he didn't even know how to work the headset and somehow upsets Penn State. Absolutely insanity. Penn State doesn't do this. They don't lose these games. So it's honestly so important. And I love UCLA. Like, that was great. And the uniforms that they wore for that were so clean, too. UCLA's uniforms are clean. And Penn State just didn't
Oh,
show
yeah.
up. I really think this is kind of how they do things after a loss, which is like what we said about tons of teams, where how you respond from a loss is so huge to show how good of a team you are, to show the type of discipline you are. And Penn State showed exactly who they are. They're not that type of team that can respond like that. They're not a Georgia. They're a Clemson. So this was horrific. And Penn State just really didn't show up until later, but UCLA kept scoring, so it was already too late, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, like I thought that Penn State was going to come back after, but like their offense was just so
Right,
electric, and Penn State couldn't do anything against them, which is just so surprising considering.
right.
I mean, yeah, like New Mexico, UNLV, like these teams that are kind of bottom feeders that they're losing to, which they're a Big Ten team. I mean, they're a Power Four. They're not supposed to be losing those.
Right.
Um, but the thing with Penn State is, again, like this is games they usually win. They always win. Um, but I don't really get how you fire Franklin after this because he's still under contract for 50 some million. So I don't get how people are saying
Right.
that because like I feel like you just keep him under contract until it expires and maybe move on from him then, or you just see how he keeps going. But this is definitely a big speed bump. I don't know. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very possible if they think they find a guy that can perform better in those games because he historically doesn't play good in the top 10 matchups. But they knew that. We all knew that. They continue to lose in those games. We just saw them lose to Oregon. Last year, they did very similar, where they lost to Ohio State and Notre Dame in the playoff. That's kind of what they do. And also Oregon in the Big 12 championship. So it's like, that's what we do. But now if they start losing to bottom feeders, and this isn't like an Iowa or a Rutgers or like a Maryland or a Washington. This isn't like a middle of the pack to the top pack type of Big Ten team, or like it wasn't like that. That's not what this was. This isn't like Florida beating Texas. It's not like that at all. UCLA was 0-4. They were so bad. They got destroyed by New Mexico. They lost to UNLV. They lost to Northwestern, who is putrid. Like UCLA is not good. You cannot lose this game if you're Penn State. I don't understand. I thought this was going to be a great comeback win for Penn State because they really needed one. And what better way to do that than against UCLA, who has been bottom feeders all season? So honestly, I think it's possible they let him go because this is so horrific. I still think they give him more chances, but it's just like we already know you can't win the big ones. But now, once you start dropping the small ones like this, if he drops another game this year, I do think he's let go, Jack.
Okay. Wow. I mean, it makes sense because this is just such an abhorrent loss. I mean, this is this is the kind of loss that could break someone's contract. This is just that bad. I'm
Right.
still surprised by it. I can't even believe this is happening. I mean, they shouldn't have been a top 10 team last week, but like I agree they should have still
Right.
been in the top 25, and that was our game of the week last week was Oregon and Penn State. Like, and I mean, Oregon was ahead most of that game, but like Penn State
Right.
really crawled back and they were up in overtime and they really had a chance to win that. But yeah, they really just this is just I mean, yeah, we talk about teams that bounce back like Georgia just did. And they just could absolutely not do this week, which this should be a give me in their schedule, and it wasn't. So
Right. And now they play Northwestern, which you think would be a win, but like I don't know anymore with Penn State, where they already have two losses and they still have to go on the road and play Ohio State and they play Indiana. Do you think I think they might have to win one of those games for James Franklin to stay the coach. I'm not sure necessarily, but it's just like not only do they not lose big games, but like if they had a 4-loss season, if they went 8-4, and then you look at some of the other schedules, they're at Rutgers, they host Nebraska, they're at Iowa. If they drop another one of those, I don't see how Franklin keeps his job if he's a 5-loss team. You couldn't lose this game. You can't. So yeah, it's very insane, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talk about teams like returning talent, like uh, like Penn State, like Illinois, like Clemson, they have all like faltered and take a step down
Right.
since last year, which is really surprising. Where we all thought they were going to like make this huge leap, and like returning talent is so huge. I mean, the AP loves that for sure. I mean, that's why they ranked them all so high
Right.
in the top 10. But like, it's interesting to see how like returning talent has like not helped these teams at all. And like what's interesting for Penn State is
Right.
like when Drew Aller said he was coming back, like three of his receivers entered the transfer portal. So maybe they didn't want to be with him, and maybe he doesn't have as many weapons as he did last year. So I guess they knew what was coming and jumped ship. But this is just shocking to see.
Right. Yeah. I didn't think it was fully on Aller. And whenever you have a quarterback that's the leading passer and rusher, you can kind of see that as well. And UCLA, you can't give up 42 points to UCLA. So no matter what way you want to slice it, I think that is on the defense.
Right.
But like Drew Aller, like 2 touchdowns, 200 yards, like they put up 35 points on offense. They should not have to put up 35 points against UCLA. And so, as much as you want to pin this on Aller, and I know he's going to get a lot of hate for this, I think he should have got more hate for the Oregon one because he threw the game losing interception in a game that was very winnable. But listen, this was not that. This was not on Aller. 42 points. Your defense gave up 42 points to
Right.
one of the worst teams in FBS, and we're going to say that that's your fault? I don't know. And as much as Aller gets a lot of hate, and maybe some of it's justified, I don't know. But you can't have this type of performance on the defensive side of the ball. If you give up 42 points, chances are you're going to lose, and you're on the road. Given the circumstances, Aller didn't do too bad, and honestly, just the play calls were rough too. Like that 4th and 2 play call, what were they doing? UCLA read it perfectly,
Mhm.
very silly, and I feel like Penn State got in their own way a lot with the play calling, and UCLA, it really is just a credit to their offense. I don't think this is on Aller. I think it's just UCLA's offense played so spectacularly, and it came out of left field, which is probably why Penn State wasn't ready for it. So maybe if you go with the theory that UCLA lost those 4 games in a row on purpose, so Penn State wouldn't take them seriously, so then they could get a huge upset, you know, maybe. Because where was this offense for the first 4 weeks? If it was this good, where was it, Jack?
Right. They've picked a heck of a time to really jump into
Right,
action for it because this is really what we expected going out of the offseason for this to look. But yeah, 466 yards total, 280 yards rushing, and no turnovers. You probably won the game.
right,
And I agree, this is completely on the defense for sure because Allen was able to get the ball moving for sure, and like was still able to score. I don't really think this is on him because he looked amazing. He was
right,
really putting the team on his back in this game and really kept him in it because the defense just kept giving it away, which was so
right,
surprising. Because we really thought this team would just look so much better on defense, but like
right,
last week they gave up a lot of points, and then this week is the worst because you kind of excuse it, even though we were saying last week was a must win because I think it is. Like if you're really like serious about keeping Franklin, you gotta win that game because you've just been so historically bad against top 10 teams because they
right,
can beat teams from like the 10 to 20 range, but they can't from the 0 to 10 range. But this one is like you said,
right.
this you should have this one in the bag, 100%. So
Right. And we say every year, maybe Penn State's just doomed to go 0-2 and lose to Michigan and Ohio State or whatever, but they probably won't get to 10 wins at this point. I would be surprised if they do. I don't think they're beating Ohio State. I don't think they have the best chance against Indiana. And then if they drop one of those other games, they have a lot of tough games because you start thinking those are gimmies, but you're like, well, if Penn State's not really that great, suddenly all these games suddenly become a lot more losable for them. And Penn State, like we said, are they doomed to go 10-2? Are they doomed to lose the big games? Wouldn't expect them to drop a game like this against one of the worst teams and definitely the worst team in the Big Ten, Penn State. We talk about it. They lose to the best teams. Didn't think they would lose to one of the worst.